Governor Bobber, like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go.
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. Exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. He calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Oh, Dr. Politics. He's got the facts. Dr. Politics. No holding back. Dr. Politics. Go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Welcome, everyone. It is Friday, December 19th, 2025. Few less days to do your Christmas shopping, not to panic anyone, but we're joined by candidate for U.S. Congress in Maryland CD6, Chris Burnett and David Shepard from Virginia. Welcome all. Busy week this week. And Chris, feels like we just saw each other yesterday.
Thank you for the invitation. That was a great lunch, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it would be important, for you to be there, and Also, funny thing is, before we get into dive into the real news and all that, I don't know, Dave, have you noticed I've been posting some of my older pictures from the college years and so on, right?
Yes.
You know, it's funny. Who do you think would get more likes, the picture with Dan Clare or a picture with Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman, I assume.
Really? Because the people that are friends with are more political types. I would have figured Dan Quayle would be the bigger wow than Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman's quite the wow.
Yes, she is.
I like politics too, but I'm going to think Wonder Woman's got
Yeah.
the wow.
Basically, it's funny. We saw her at Duke Zebert's, and I go, I used to always carry my camera around everywhere, my big camera.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, we should get a picture, And my friends are like, we shouldn't bother her. I go, she's really nice. She's Wonder Woman. She never yelled at anyone. She loves kids.
Oh, yeah.
So we went up to her. We got a picture. And it's funny. Larry King was there. Her husband was there. And Larry's like, do you want me to be in the picture? And I'm like, no, we could do another one later with you, but we want this with Linda Carr. We didn't even bring our dates into the picture until the second picture was with the dates. First was just us guys. But it's a lot of fun reminiscing over the old times. I found a box with tons of pictures from the old days. So I've been like scanning, tweaking them a little bit just because the lighting is bad on film, and stuff like that. But let's see, a lot of big stories this week. We've got Dan Bongino announced he's leaving the FBI. We wish him well. Leaving, go back to the private sector. I wonder if he's going to go back to his old talk show or not, or he's just going to write a book. But yeah. And the bigger story, Elise Stefanik has dropped out of the race for governor in New York.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that one.
She dropped out today, and that's like a big. Although I should say, the Nassau County executive is running, and he's really good. And it'd be nice to have a governor from Long Island again.
What about? Okay, yeah, that I didn't hear. So yeah.
Yeah. And
What
then we
was her
have,
stated reason? Did she give a reason?
not that I know of. She has decided to just drop her picture, and let's see. Larry Hogan just put a message. Oh, that's something like some dog event. Okay, I thought maybe Larry was going to say, "Hey, I'm running for governor" or something.
Well, if I could add, though, speaking of things happening in Maryland, I wrote a column. It's on Substack, and it is about Maryland overriding Westmore's veto on the Slave Reparations Commission. So I wrote a column about that.
Yeah.
So if people get a chance, I think you might get a kick out of it. It's
Yeah,
up
we
on
had,
my.
yeah,
It's on my
and we had
Substack.
and we had an article about that too. How he was the big loser in this special session. He didn't get his redistricting plan that he wanted. Although it's coming next session, I hate to say it. Unfortunately, the session starts way too soon.
The one thing I wonder about the redistricting stuff is, could all this be for naught? And that is, the Supreme Court may very well rule on racial gerrymandering. They heard the case already.
Mm-hmm.
Might the Supreme Court then this spring say, now they don't usually come back as early spring, but might they come back at any time and say, you guys have to redraw the districts before the next election because of the
No. This is only going to come into play if they tried to take their finger paint sets out and redraw the districts. Their goal is to take Andy Harris out of his congressional seat, and I think what they're going to,
Yeah, but
they're
can
gonna
they, no, go ahead, keep going. Sorry.
what they're going to be doing is they're probably going to take the district lines, take it across through into southern Maryland, which is Charles County, and that's going to give enough Democrat votes to have Andy beaten. But Maryland has really strict rules on how you can draw the line, so it's very possible they try to play these games. The state courts will toss them out on their ears, and next thing you know, what will happen is they will have to basically the courts may just draw the lines as they see fit, and they get a little too clever.
Yeah.
They could lose CD6, which I think because Chris is running, we're going to win CD6, but it'll give Chris an easier time winning CD6 if they take out Montgomery County from the district.
Yeah.
And it should give, and then you could drive from Cumberland to Ocean City without driving into any Democrat congressional districts.
Yeah.
And well,
I just think, okay. Well, I just didn't know if there's much they could do with Harris because it's probably, I would think, conservative enough. Certainly the Eastern Shore.
Yeah, the Eastern Shore. Even if they take him into Harford County, that's pretty rock solid red too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even northern parts of northern Baltimore County are pretty red too.
Yeah, that's true. So.
And by the way, you were asking, Dave, we have 141 members of the House of Delegates, and we have 47 state senators.
Okay. In Virginia, it's 100 in the House and 40 in the state Senate. I was just wondering if Virginia, at least in the House, had gotten as Democrat as Maryland, because we have now 64 Democrats out of 100. So that's the most in my lifetime, probably. Except when I was a little kid.
But in theory, if there was a Republican governor and he vetoed something, they could sustain the veto right. The Democrats don't have 2/3.
Yeah.
So in Maryland, both houses, the Democrats are over 2/3. So
okay.
when Larry was governor, they'd override his vetoes all the time.
Gotcha. But
just like they did to Westmore.
But correct me if I'm wrong. In Hogan's first term, didn't Democrats not have 2/3 at the beginning? They eventually got the seats, but
they had 2/3 all the way. You can go all the way back to 1897.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
I tell you, Maryland used to have, and unfortunately, there's a Supreme Court case says they can't do it, but each county would have one senator and delegates from a proportion to population.
Yeah, Virginia was the same way. Yeah.
You probably got hit with the same lawsuit that the Supreme Court ruling that hit us,
Probably.
And it all stemmed from how in Maryland in 1960 reapportionment, we were getting a new congressional district.
Yeah.
And Maryland Democrats couldn't decide how to draw it, so they decided to make it an at-large congressional district. Okay. So Maryland, you would have had your two senators your regular representative, then you had your at-large congressman.
Mm.
And then the Supreme Court kind of said, no, you can't do that. That also kind of brought the whole House down with, so by 62, we were, legislative districts, had a senator, And you guys have one delegate per district, right? Not three. We have 3 delegates for each district.
Okay.
So it's your top 3 vote getters.
Gotcha.
And, but I do like the fact of having single member districts, but I don't think we'll ever get that.
Yeah, I like single member districts. Mario, Chris is back with us. That's good news.
It's all right. I had to find a quieter spot. I'm at Bill
Hey.
Holden's fundraiser. It's a little noisy. It's Elvis night.
Hey, if Bill wants to come on, he's welcome to pop in and say hello.
I could walk in there. You might actually get him on stage singing Elvis tunes.
There we go. So we were talking about.
Well, Chris also. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, Chris, I was saying I wrote a column on the Wes Moore veto being overridden on the Slavery Commission. The thing about that is, if you look at it closely, it does nothing. All it does is set up a commission. They want to just talk about it. There are no former slaves. There are no former slaveholders. It's ridiculous, but they want to keep ginning it up and continue to talk about it.
Well, Wes Moore doesn't want to have the commission. That's why he vetoed it, because he goes,
I know, but it got overridden. I know. But it's an absurdity. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. And then the type of programs I listed in my column that they want, they're talking about housing assistance and stuff. That has nothing to do with slavery. Housing assistance, student loan forgiveness, tax credits for, electric vehicles or whatever else they throw in. That has nothing to do with slavery.
Yes. But I think the issue is that they're talking about the lack of a transfer of wealth. So generational poverty. But I don't think the way to address it is to give handouts now. This is where these things inevitably go down a path that lead to nothing in terms of progress, but it just becomes, a cash grab. So I would agree this commission is going to study how to divvy up a cash grab and not really solve any of the underlying issues.
Yeah.
And here's something else about our new speaker. I don't know if you noticed this, Chris. She had the former convicted mayor of Baltimore City and then she reached out and said she was one of her mentors and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, wait, I thought you were supposed to be a reformer, supposed to be a voice of reason. We're not supposed to be this. And now she's talking about how this ethical. I mean, I don't know if either of you are familiar with Maryland's history of bagmen. Maryland, back in the days, and I gotta tell it the way Ross Pierpont used to tell that story. He goes, and there was nothing wrong with it. Basically, if you wanted an appointment, you had to go and drop a brown bag full of money. And then a couple days later, you get your appointment.
Huh.
And I actually saw the room, which is now a conference room. There used to be a very narrow room. It was probably about not more than 8 feet wide with a long table. And there was this one-way door on the other side. And there's a spiral staircase that took you out at the very bottom of the State House, so nobody would see you leave. And and I mean, the way the new speaker sounds, she wants to bring back, do we need to, I think she wants to bring back brown paper bags and take, ethically challenged Democrats. She's praising them. I mean, remember when Trent Lott said a few nice things about Strom Thurmond? It's like, what is the matter with you people? And I mean, this is just, she's praising an ethically challenged Democrat. And also, what are her priorities she outlined, by the way? She has none of her solutions to fix her problems will ever work because they're all government-based, opposed to Republicans' market-based solutions. She talks about affordability. She talks about crime, and all these other fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand your opponent is going to have a very bloody primary with David Trone getting into it now.
Well, I think, we talked a little bit about it last week, and we certainly have talked a lot about it this week. There's going to be a sprint to the left. He's already trying to come at her and saying he's the only real Democrat, that she is sort of an ineffective moderate. And with his almost unlimited funds and her nearly unlimited funds, this is going to be an interesting primary on that side. And it will certainly open up the middle. And I think as they sprint to the left, and I think they take on more extreme positions to try to distinguish themselves from each other, we've got our best chance, I think, in years to make Western Maryland Republican again.
Absolutely. And if you look at, and this is where it's really goofy. They think she's a moderate.
Yeah.
She gets an ACU rating of about 0. CPAC rating now, actually, I should say. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're making her out to be she's some right-wing ideologue, please.
Well, I think it was her 2 votes. She voted for the National Defense Authorization Act. She was the only Democrat to do so.
Yep.
And more recently, she may have been the only Democrat in Maryland that voted to condemn socialism.
Yeah, that means Steny Hoyer, Johnny O, Jamie Raskin, and whoever the guy in District 3 is. I have no idea who that is. Oh, I know who that is. That's what's the name? Glenn Ivey. No, Glenn Ivey's 4, so it's someone else that's in that 3rd district.
But that makes Delaney a moderate, apparently.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's like she's like a broken clock. She's right twice. Essentially.
Twice a day. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. She got, just because she got 2 votes, it doesn't make shoot her up on the CPAC rating scales, frankly. But I mean, I think I think he spends close to $100 million actually.
Well, regardless of what he spends, you can't buy authenticity, and
no,
you
cannot
can't reinvent yourself whenever you've got as much baggage that he has. I think people will see right through this as another attempt to buy a seat. He couldn't beat Alsobrooks in a Senate race, and I don't see how he reinvents himself.
But he outspent Alsobrooks almost like 10-1, I think is what it was.
Well, the lower estimates are 61 million spent.
Yeah,
I think you and I have heard much higher estimates of what he maybe spent outside of what was reported.
And I think he's going to spend at least $100 million for this seat in the primary.
In a lot of ways, this is for his ego. This is his redemption tour. He doesn't want to be known as a loser, so he's got everything to spend to try to redeem himself. And I think that will come across as less than authentic.
Yeah, I just don't know how people don't see through it. I mean, it's just like a rich guy, time on his hands, trying to buy a congressional seat. I just don't know how people don't see
He's
it.
like John Corzine.
Yeah, or Mayor Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Or Bloomberg.
Yeah.
So all week we've been pushing out the headline, CD6 is not for sale.
Yeah, that's good.
Hopefully people will wake up to that, to realize that when they're being inundated with direct mail and social media ads and TV ads, this is somebody quite literally trying to buy the race.
And let's not forget, when David Trone was in the United States Congress, he was nowhere to be found in the 6th Congressional District. Nowhere. His offices were shut down. They don't answer the phones in his office. It's always an auto attendant, and it's always, you got to push this, push that to get somebody with a human pulse. That is not congressional affairs. I worked for probably one of the best senators in the U.S. Senate, Alphonse D'Amato. His take on congressional, you answer the phone on the second ring, because that's a constituent call.
That's why you exist. That's the only reason why you exist.
He didn't like, I'm sure if he was in the Senate today, he would not like auto attendant, which every office pretty much is using it, at least on the left. You know, Van Hollen's office never answered phones. You know, Austin Brooks' office never answers phones. You know, and they really should. I really think if nobody begged them to run for office. They begged us for their votes. I didn't vote for them, but they still have to represent me, frankly. They don't get to just represent the people they like. They have to, you know, they should actually have their people answering phones, for crying out loud. You know, and if they don't want to do it, you know, so many people want those congressional Capitol Hill jobs. Fire them. You'll be able to replace these people in a day.
Yeah. The other thing they need to do, they need to get out of the Frederick, D.C. mindset. They've got to put, and what I would do, I would put an office in Cumberland, an office in Hagerstown, and one in Frederick. And then even if it's only open part-time, you've got to have a physical presence in those major cities so that people that need something can come in and talk to you. You know, of course, you pick up the phone, but you at least got to have offices available.
You could find Cumberland on a map. Frostburg. He couldn't find Frostburg on a map either. You know, he might find he might be able to find the Rocky Gap Resort. You know, because that's where he and his buddies probably go. You know, but that's about it. He could not find Cumberland on a map. He doesn't understand the culture of the people. You know, one thing people don't understand. Have you ever seen one of those maps of Maryland that show the altitudes? The altitude is pretty high when you get out to Cumberland, you know, so to speak.
Yes.
You know, unlike, I mean, you're out there all the time.
Yeah, Mountain Maryland begins in Washington County. It's a very different landscape, very different, very different culture, so to speak, you know, in terms of what they prioritize. Those folks do not want handouts, but they want to have a voice in Congress.
Yeah, and also, you know, the people are friendlier. I don't know if you noticed that. People outside of Montgomery County are just generally friendlier out there. You know, like in Montgomery County, you'll find Democrats are downright nasty.
Yes. You know, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. So when I go out to Garrett and Allegheny, that's more like being home than when I sometimes spending time down in Montgomery County in terms of people being nice, people prioritizing things like faith, family, and community.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember this takes me back when I was a kid. I want to say it was the Democrat primary, 1988, and how they did this whole study about because that was one of the years of the Maryland primary was relatively important for the presidentials in '88, and they were saying how Maryland's like a microcosm of the country. You got the affluent East and West Coast. They refer to that as Montgomery County, the 95 corridor. Then you got the rural South, which is Appalachia, and then you got the sandy beaches and the farmers on the Eastern Shore. But you know, one thing is, where am I going with all this? This is Maryland is a very, very diversely rich state. I mean, you have this. People in Cumberland are very different than people in Montgomery County. People in Montgomery County are very different than people on the Eastern Shore. Yeah. And that's one thing David Trone doesn't get. He just plays to Montgomery County. That's all he does. He plays to Montgomery County, and he gets all those Democrats in Frederick County to vote for him, you know, and that's, you know, but I guarantee even the Democrats in Western Maryland are not as wacky as David Trone is.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, and then we have we had from so the Maryland legislature goes back into session in a few weeks. Few short weeks. They're going to be there for 90 days. Some would say they'll be there 90 days too many, frankly. I think it is the fact that because they're going to do and by the way, you know, it's an election year for the state house and governor when they all say no new taxes.
That's right.
Yeah, for this year. Yeah. No taxes, no fees, they allege. And then next year they'll just make up for by raising taxes on everyone.
Yeah.
Isn't there a projected deficit already? I mean, like,
yes, there
have
is
to do something.
And And the thing is, blueprint, we can't afford blueprint. We can, like one of the things the speaker talked about was the deficit. Hey, Madam Speaker, we need to hit pause on blueprint. Look at Chris Papp's Eye on Baltimore segments on Fox 45. Test scores have gone down since spending went up. And you solve that problem by lowering the bar, not raising the bar. You're just getting rid of the requirements. You're making it easier for you to graduate, opposed to making them work harder and smarter, frankly. That is the biggest problem.
The entire concept is flawed. This idea that if we essentially give, I think it's up to 40% of time for teachers to do outside of classroom development, but it's not a measurable. There's no metric there. It's just time. And with that, create, I think, 10,000 new jobs. You need that many more teachers. And nothing has to do with learning objectives or outcomes. This has everything to do with creating the space for teachers to work outside of the classroom, and then creating new positions to fill that time void, but there's nothing measurable. And I have 4 kids in school, and I honestly, I don't know what they were thinking, because it has nothing to do with what kids need to learn.
And they're all in the MCPS school system, correct?
Yes, all in Montgomery County.
And they go to public schools. You don't send your kids to Landon and Holton Arms and one of those schools all of us rich Republicans sends our kids to.
Dwight, I just came off active duty. I've been a single income military family for almost 22 years.
No, but that's just one of the Democrat talking points. But we're actually it's the Democrats that sent their kids to those expensive private schools. That's almost like a college tuition.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to say Landon is almost like $55,000 a year now. The tuition to send a kid there. It's cheaper to send out of Maryland for 4 years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, yeah, it's like Potomac in McLean. It's probably.
Yeah, it's like I know you guys have a lot of private schools. You got the Potomac School out there off of Old Georgetown.
The Potomac. That's what I meant. Yeah, Potomac School. I meant.
And we've got the McLean School in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah. But, it goes down to blueprint is just not sustainable. And here, I did a study. I want to say I did this in the late 90s. I want to say it was either 99 or 98 when the teachers union was patting themselves on the back because test scores went up. And then I did a little graph. We more than quadrupled spending since 1972 to 98, 97, whenever I wrote that article. It was more than quadruple spending. And when I did a graph, it was a flat line. Test scores go up a point, or down a point, up a point. That is not, if you're spending quadruple the money, because back in 1972, when SAT scores were record low, teachers decided, we need to spend more and more, and it more than quadrupled. And the test scores are still pretty much statistically the same. There's a problem. There's a real problem there. And money is not the solution. If money was the problem, we'd be churning out Rhodes Scholars every year by the dozen.
Yeah.
You can't solve problems by throwing money at it. But the Democrats seem to think that's the solution.
Especially other people's money. I mean, that's the key. Not their own. Other people's money to solve these problems.
Yeah, and when the problem is failing, what do? Instead of, hey, let's see why it's not working. No, let's just give more money. And
or you lower the standard. So
and that's what they. I don't know why. When I was in high school, Maryland you had a functional math test, which is a 4th grade level test. A reading test, that was a 4th grade level test. A writing test, that was, I think, about 4th grade level as well. And we had a citizenship test. You needed to pass all 4 to graduate high school. Yeah, I was shocked how many kids were failing the writing test, the reading test, the math test, the citizenship test. You know, how do you fail those tests? Is what I want to know. You know, these are high school freshmen that are ninth grade. They're not fourth graders. I can understand if fourth graders are taking a test on the fourth grade level, and you had, you know, say, I don't know, 10% of the kids fail. I don't understand that, but these are ninth graders. Some are 10th graders. They failed it the year before, and now I hear they got rid of the. They don't even have the citizenship test. They call it something else. I think it's a history test. And I would love to get my hands on a copy of what the Maryland Functional History Test looks like these days, because I can only imagine the crazy stuff they have in there. And I think the math test I think has gotten they've lowered the minimum you need to pass on all of those, and so they're getting more people over the line, but how is it that you're going over the line? You just lowered the bar. It's like it's kind of like you know how when you play limbo, they keep lowering the bar, and the better you do, you know. This is reverse limbo. They're just lowering the bar, so it's easier for you to walk over the bar. That's, you know, and that's pretty much where they have it at the ground level now. So you just walk over it, and even as low as it is, we still have kids failing. You know, that is the big problem there.
No, I agree. Well, Dwight, you'd mentioned earlier some big things have happened this week, and it has been a pretty big week. And the good news is CPI comes in at 2.7. And so you're seeing tamer inflation, it looks like. Hopefully that's real, although I'm questionable. I take a grain of salt with government statistics, but I don't know about you, but I thought that was one of the best bits of news this week was the CPI down.
You know, and then there's and today the Epstein files have been released.
Yeah, that's right. Also, there's some more emails, by the way, from 2022 FBI emails that suggest that within the FBI there was dissension on the Mar-a-Lago.
Look what Fox News has on their site right now.
Oh wow! I got to see this. Hold on, put it up again. The last. Oh wow! Wow! Isn't that amazing? Wow. Well, you know that guy. Come on, man. That guy's a sleazeball. Everybody knows he's a sleazeball. You can't deny that.
Yeah, but he's not as bad as Joe Biden was. That's it's funny how we were talking when we were having lunch yesterday. We were talking about how Westmore is such a horrible government. Makes Paris Glendenning look good.
Yeah.
And we've got also this week. We also had, in addition to that, we have the blockade of Venezuela. We're stopping oil shipments, which is great. Yeah. This is how you choke off Maduro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely. I think if Trump gets rid of him, you got to admit that's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, and I'm sure he uses it. And remember, it's not like the old days. We could send in drones with Hellfire missiles. I mean, we took out Taliban leadership with drones.
Oh yeah.
Then we just have to fly a drone around, zoom in on his cell phone, and just bam, and he's gone.
Well, I wrote a column a couple weeks back that it's part of the reason we need to get rid of Maduro is, well, because he stole an election, obviously, and it's we believe in democracy, but there's also a strategic reason, and that is they've got a lot of oil potential, but they need an efficient government. They need to get rid of socialism. But if they
in the 80s, Venezuela was like the Paris of South America.
Right. Yeah. So if they could produce the oil that they have that potential to do, that would really eat away at Russia, because then you'd have more oil on the market and you didn't need to buy from Russia as much if you get Venezuelan oil pretty much replacing a lot of that.
We also have a legitimate national security concern. Both China and Russia have invested heavily, and they have a military partnership that is a real threat to our hemispheric security. That is not often cited as justification for what we're doing. But I can tell you, having spent time at U.S. Southern Command, And having worked on the original war plans to look at military and dual use targets, there's a legitimate national security concern outside of the narco terrorist group that's been designated a foreign terrorist organization. So I would agree that Maduro has to go for a number of reasons. One of them being national security, the other being allowing narco terrorists to basically run roughshod over the hemisphere.
And remember the Monroe Doctrine, you know, we basically said, hey, Europeans stay the hell out of the Americas, more or less. You know, to paraphrase the Monroe Doctrine, you know, and President Kennedy used that argument for the Bay of Pigs blockade. Not Bay of Pigs, the Cuban blockade during the missile crisis. There is, I mean, honestly, it's like, you know, we're allowed to, it's the Gulf of America, and it's our backyard. We should be able to do what we need to do. We need to keep, you know, we need to have a nice neighborhood watch, and if there's a bad neighbor, we need to remove that bad neighbor, frankly. It's an extension to the good neighbor policy.
You know, and I think I mentioned this once before. At one point, we were tracking hundreds of foreign fighters that had fought for ISIS, that had fled to South America. And then we had essentially lost track of them in South America. So whenever you hear about those caravans moving from Venezuela and other places, there's a real concern that you have embedded in those human, you know, caravans, folks that are ISIS fighters, folks that were in Iraq and Syria that fled, and they're now unaccounted for across South America. So there are layers to this issue that are more than just the oil, more than just the flood of drugs that narco terrorists are bringing in. I'm glad to see that we're finally dealing with a problem that we had been afraid to address for years.
I mean, what is it with South America? All the Nazis fled to South America. And now we have all the ISIS terrorists fleeing to South America. They just a great big welcome sign. If you hate Jews, come here. You know?
Well, and also Perón in Argentina was kind of basically pro-Nazi. So after the war, so many went to Argentina.
Yeah.
I guess he kind of welcomed. I don't know if he overtly welcomed them, but I guess it was wink and a nod, like you guys are fine to come here. So
and
our frustration was we could not get what was called a judicial finish in South America because they didn't have laws that prohibited activity outside of the borders of their country. So I don't know that South America welcomed these folks back so much as they basically said, if you come back, don't break the law here. And we were frustrated because we had built a long intelligence summary on these individuals, and then we lost track of them once they hit South America.
Yeah, and I think this is the right thing to do, blowing up these. And, you know, the congressional hearings this week, Chuck Schumer wanting to know, we want to watch and we got to blah, blah, blah. You know, honest to God, you know, people like you threaten national security with your demands for this and that, you know, just shut up, Chuck. You know, it's like they don't, you know, they're threatening national security by some of the times with this stuff, you know.
Well, they're playing politics with national security. And I think
it's kind of like it's like during Vietnam. You had all these 435 members who thought they were Congress, who thought they were Secretary of State. And we had one Secretary of State, and we were a damn good one, Henry Kissinger, frankly.
Yeah.
And it's something they don't get. They just don't get this. You know, but we also had this past week, again, we talk about, we wish Dan Bongino the best as he's moving on from FBI. But I'll tell you, I think I am very impressed with this administration, as in how this administration has not fired or removed anyone since it started January 20th, compared to the previous first term of President Trump. We were up to like what, Chief of Staff number 4 by now, you know. So you know, the administration is doing a hell of a job, frankly, with this stuff. And I'm trying to think what else. You know, by the way, Dave, Winston Sears is speaking in Maryland at a BRC event come February.
Okay.
Yeah. And what else do we have? What else do we have this week to talk about? I'm trying to think. There's a lot of stuff I had. See, this is what happens when Don doesn't send me a
Oh, the
rundown of
Brown
the
shooting,
issue.
they got the guy from the Brown shooting.
Yes, they did. And, you know,
He's from Portugal, and I guess the connection was he also killed a professor who he may have known. From Portugal. Yeah.
And I think, you know, but I tell you, that was Keystone Cops there. I don't know if you saw, you know, the guy they initially thought was a person of interest. Turns out he wasn't. You know, then they go, we have no video unless the video comes up. It's like, what is that? And what's with Brown University not having any cameras around that one building?
Mm.
And they had a homeless person living in there. I mean, granted, the homeless person is the hero who basically cracked this case wide open. And we also had Meathead passed away, Rob Reiner, and he passed away.
Yeah, killed by his son, and a horrible way to die, though. I mean, because being stabbed, it's a very personal thing.
Yeah, I know. By the son too. You know. It's like,
who, ironically, he called Meathead. I'm just
did he call the son Meathead? That's funny if he did.
I remember Reiner as Meathead from All in the Family. We've discussed this before, but he also was a big actor and director as well. His father was a comedian, Carl Reiner.
He was on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yes, Carl Reiner
he was Dick Van Dyke's boss.
Yes, Carl Reiner. But the thing about it is, like you pointed out, All in the Family, you know, Archie was still good to him. He probably shouldn't call him Meathead, but
Archie was too good to him. Okay, frankly, think about his character, Michael Stivitt. Okay, he was a hippie who didn't have a job, didn't contribute to family. Yet Archie let him live rent free and eat him out of house and home. That shows the compassion of the conservatives. I know Norman Lear, when he did that, he was trying to make Archie look like a boob, but got news for you. He showed Archie's compassion. Yeah.
That's it. That's one way to spin it. I like.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
But the thing about that show though, and Buckley hated it because it was an attack on conservatives. I know, right? You saw it differently, but it was an attack on traditional value.
I mean, the fact that how Archie would always mispronounce Phyllis Schlafly's name and call her Phyllis Shoefly, that was just mocking Phyllis Schlafly. You know?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And you and I both knew Phyllis Schlafly, and you don't mock her. I don't, Chris. I don't know if you ever heard of Phyllis Schlafly.
I know of the name. I don't know much though.
She used to kind of look like Hedda Harper.
She was that of Eagle Forum, a conservative woman who campaigned mostly against the ERA in the 70s. That was her big thing. Yeah, that was her big thing. I knew her son, Andy Schlafly.
Mm-hmm. Is it the daughter that runs for Eagle Forum now, or who runs it? Is it son or the daughter?
I don't know if they're even still around. I guess so.
No, Eagle Forum's still around. I see their stuff. Yeah.
I know the late Helen Blackwell was big into Eagle Forum.
Yeah, she was on the board there. Our friend Lori was the executive director there.
Lori Cole then became Waters. I remember her from there.
And but by the way, one thing also that happened this week, you know, there's a guy. He is running for council. I'm trying to think of his Urbeck. J.D. Urbeck is running for Congress, City Council. No, Baltimore County Council in Baltimore County.
Okay.
Hell of a guy.
Okay.
Oh, look, I didn't even realize he had comments to see what our. Oh, who's this? Let's see. Yeah, exactly. You're right, Al. That is the one thing that they don't do. They don't care. They basically pass along the teachers. And, you know, Maryland has no charter schools at all.
Look down, Wrigley, you idiot. Oh, sorry.
He was in that movie too, Craig. Mad World.
Oh, that was a great
movie. You know who the villain was in that movie was Mr. Hal from Gilligan's Island. But we've got also coming through is number of other stuff going on around today. Is Montgomery County is going to be lowering their is going to be putting up more speed cameras. I don't know if you heard about that, Chris. The county wants to put up more speed cameras.
I did.
You know,
I hate the idea of speed cameras.
Yeah, and
I think
it's
that
unconstitutional. I mean, you're an attorney.
Well,
we have a right to face our
yes.
accuser, right? If you fight a speed camera ticket, is that speed camera going to show up?
Well, this is what I hate about it. It's not viewed as a criminal citation. It's a civil citation or civil. So they're looking at your privilege to drive versus criminal liability. Because you're right. If it would a normal speeding ticket would have to be observed by a police officer. The radar detector or laser would have had to have been calibrated and accurate. And then you would have been able to challenge the veracity of those things. Instead, you just have this camera that says that, however it's been measured or calibrated, it tells you you've committed a violation and you get a fine in the mail. I hate these things.
And this is how Montgomery County is. Let's say this is a dip, right, on the road. They'll put the speed camera here. So unless you're riding your brakes, you will never be at the 25-mile speed limit.
Yeah, to me, it's a shameless cash grab, and I hate it.
They are ATMs.
Yep, I think it undermines. Again, you talk about a police state. This is moving in that direction. Whenever you have, you just receive a citation in the mail. You don't even know that you've done anything wrong. You don't have an opportunity to explain the circumstances or to challenge the veracity of the accusation. Just get it, and then if you don't pay it, it accumulates fees and fines, and you can't register your vehicle, which has already been doubled in the last year.
Yeah, and I know Mark Elric talks about how this is it's all about safety. No, it's not. If it was about safety, you'd assign points to those speeding tickets, okay? You would assign a point, you'd get points, like you would if you got a speeding ticket from a cop. Sometimes you get a good cop, they'll say, you won't get points, but you'll get this ticket, so. But if they really cared about safety, they would also attach, then you got people like Evan Glass, who seems to think that if anybody is going well below the speed limit, that means they were speeding. They hit their brakes right before the camera. Go figure that one out.
They want to make driving as difficult as possible to
I don't know if you've noticed
vision of walking and biking.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure you've noticed this, Chris. Traffic is horrendous any time of the day now.
Yes.
Like Rockville Pike. Yeah.
You know who Elridge reminds me of? Michael Stivic, Meathead.
Yeah.
That's what Michael Stivic, that's what Meathead would have been like if he had become county commissioner. At least Elridge is an old hippie, right? Isn't Elridge really kind of like the old hippie?
Yeah, he's from Tacoma Park.
Yeah.
Tacoma Park is a nuclear-free zone,
That's right, yeah.
And it's basically, he is, Elric is an idiot, He has the guy lecture, and it was funny. It's like, I wonder if he's shopping for a new SUV because he used to have an $88,000 Chevy Suburban. Now he has a Mustang Mach-E because he loves the earth, so he has an EV, right? But then you had Mayor Brandon Scott, who's got a $160,000 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, right? So I wonder if he's looking for a new car to replace his Mustang. He's got to keep up with the Scotts,
I don't know.
You can't let Brandon Scott have a nicer car. But, and we are, we got a few more minutes. Yeah, we got some time. Also, this week, one thing we did, a lot of stuff that happens this week in the news is we're seeing, that RFK has really impressed me, frankly. RFK, and his talk with, I was a little skeptical on RFK, being a Democrat, but he's come out on the right side of all the important issues, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we just do this? Why don't we just get into final thoughts, Dave? I'll let you go.
Well, final thought. I do have another column up on Maryland and the commission on the Slavery Commission thing override. So I got that. And apparently Moore is also in trouble because of potentially lying on his resume, as I guess you've heard this story, where the doctorate, he said he had a doctorate at something and they can't find it. The Bronze Star issue, there are other things there. So otherwise, doing okay. I'm not looking forward to the cold as we start beginning of winter, but Christmas is almost here. So
yesterday we had great weather. Yesterday was like
we did.
60 degrees. The weather was beautiful. This morning the weather was nice too. Around noontime is when the weather kind of got really bad.
Yeah.
The winds out where you are got to be really whipping out there, because they're saying you guys have some high wind warnings out there, Chris, in Western Maryland.
It's been ripping quite a bit, yes.
Yeah. And then we have coming through. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, the weather is just going to get. We had great weather yesterday. Tomorrow's going to be really downright cold. But Chris, we're at final thoughts. So why don't you just tell us a couple things and where's the Burnett campaign this weekend and how can they help? And the filing deadline is coming up, and where they can send some money to you.
No, and I appreciate that. I mean, we're in that fourth quarter sprint. So, of course, we're doing a call to action. We're trying to wrap up 2025 with as much momentum as possible. So folks can go to burnettforcongress.com and follow my WinRed link. That would certainly help us out for the fourth quarter and start 2026 strong. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on the Jen Charlton show. I'm going to be presenting my Western Maryland Innovation Corridor, and that's tying the American Legion Bridge, the expansion of I-270, the I-70 interchange, and the I-68 opportunity zones into a single comprehensive package to address traffic, energy production, and jobs. The idea being we'll get some infrastructure development and jobs if we go and do a smart approach to developing data centers, advanced manufacturing for semiconductors and chips, as well as looking at AI and quantum computing centers across those corridors. And if we look at this project across 8 to 12 years, we could really reinvent Western Maryland and make it extremely competitive in the AI economy. So I'll be on the show tomorrow morning with Jen. I'll be at the Young Republicans tomorrow night for, I think, their Christmas gala. And then on Sunday, we'll be out again, probably up in Washington County and maybe Frederick for Yard Sign Sunday. So if people could stop by the website and go to WinRed, that would certainly help out for the end of the year.
Yeah, and also, Chris, you have a plan for all of District 6, not just Montgomery County, because a lot of your constituents who live out in Thurmont, Points, or all the way out even in Washington County, they have jobs in Montgomery County.
Yep.
And it's bad. It's a long enough commute as it is, but when it rains or it snows, they're looking at maybe 3 hours to get home.
So, yeah, the way the plan works out, we would like to put opportunity zones all the way out along I-68. And the thought is we want to align those universities and training centers to create professional level jobs in advanced manufacturing, AI, and quantum computing. So the idea is it's like the C&O Canal for the 21st century. We want to connect the 5 counties and create opportunity all along Western Maryland to make Western Maryland an innovation leader for the next decade. But it's going to require a massive plan. And the current plan that I've pitched, and I'll talk about it tomorrow morning, is an 8 to 12 year infrastructure plan between $10 and $12 billion. It would require federal funding, but also a lot of private investment.
And the current representative and the previous representative, David Trone, they had ample time, as did Mrs. Delaney, had a lot of time to bring infrastructure transportation dollars to the 6th district. They've done nothing at all.
Absolutely.
All they've done is vote to raise taxes and vote to impeach Trump. And well, Trump voted to impeach Trump. I don't know if Delaney, but I'm sure her husband did vote to impeach Trump also.
So the part of the plan also is that there will be 0 tax increases associated with it. Now, I can't control what they do at the county and state level, but the way we would earmark the federal dollars and align the federal funding to the innovation zones, the idea is to create opportunity, alleviate traffic, well-paying jobs, and then address the energy concerns without raising taxes.
Yeah, and the public-private partnership stuff this Texas and Indiana are doing a great job with that.
Yes, there's great examples.
That will work well for Maryland. Just as long as we don't have the people that did the Purple Line public-private partnership, which is a total boondoggle in my opinion. But anything else? What's your website address again, Chris?
It's Burnett for Congress. It's all one word, all lowercase.
It's a beautiful site. It's a beautiful website.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, and it's hold on one second. You guys talk. I'm gonna pull up your.
We're actually in the process of updating it. We're going to be launching sort of an updated version of that for the new year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of my background and certainly a lot of the things that are important are put up on that website, so people can, if they have questions, that'll hopefully direct them in the right path. And then I'm always available if you want to send me an email or shoot me a text. I'm always available.
Yeah, and here is, I just want people to see this site. It's a beautiful site. And you just click this little button here. And just do that, and you're off and running.
Yep, be a big help.
And you've got this is really well done site. You've got all the information you need. I don't need to go digging around to get stuff, And there you go. I mean, this is Chris Burnett's website. Check it out. Chris knows what he's doing, and it's help Chris out. And my final thoughts are, when did the tradition of wrapping Christmas presents start? I went to the mall today to find somebody to wrap the gifts. The malls don't even have gift wrapping stations anymore.
That's too bad. I don't know how to wrap a gift. I don't know how to wrap one. So.
No, I don't. I am horrible at it.
I'm bad. I can't do it really. So
I can't either, and I hate doing it.
The gift wrapping, they should have that because it's so valuable to have a gift.
It used to, like over at Montgomery Mall, NIH they used to do it to benefit NIH.
Yeah.
And instead, now the gift wrapping is done by one of the stores there, and they charge like $15 to wrap stuff.
Oh, jeez, that's a lot.
And it used to be the high schools would do it and be like for their boosters or whatever, but yeah. That's my gripe. Self-wrapping gift. Come on, we need more gift wrapping stations. People do gift wrapping. Women's Federation, I think that's a great fundraising idea for you guys around the holidays.
It's a good idea.
Do a Saturday event where people can come bring their presents and you can wrap the gifts for them.
Yep.
Or the YRs, if you want to. That's another good little project for the YRs for next year, wrapping gifts, But that and yesterday I had lunch, and Chris, you were there. We had lunch with Governor Ehrlich. What a great guy, Governor Ehrlich. And we all had a lot of fun. We also had at the lunch was Audrey Scott. Not only was she in Governor Ehrlich's cabinet, she worked for Jack Kemp. She was Mayor of Bowie, Maryland, and she was also on the Prince George's County Council for years. Great seeing you, Audrey, last night. And that's pretty much all I've got. And we'll see everyone next week. Oh, real quick, if you're ever in Perry Hall this week, Missoni's restaurant has some great specials. Check them out. They're in Perry Hall. The food is second to none. It's great. Go visit them. Good people. Chris and Greg, awesome people. So go to Missoni's.
Let's go down to Missoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Missoni's, we'll have a good old time. Homemade pasta